Beckerson, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited for our conversation.
Hi, Allie. I'm so excited too.
So kick us off and tell us about yourself.
Okay. Well, my name is Brooklyn Beckerson. I am a full-time freelance graphic designer and podcaster. I'm a mom and a wife, and so I am very like full-time work mode, full-time mom mode, and trying to find kind of that sweet spot of balancing the two. Um, I'm trying to think in my spare time, when I get spare time, I do love to read. I'm such a dork. My favorite genre is like motivational, inspirational books and genres. Like I
Yeah.
just love a good boost up. Hang out with my family and my son, who I love. I play video games. I do like them when I have spare time, but for the most part, my husband makes fun of me because he says I don't have any hobbies. He, of course, is a man of many hobbies, but
Mhm.
he's like, and I'm like, my work is my hobby. I
Sure.
really love encouraging and creating stuff for my clients and for my friends and family. And so it's always just been, that saying of like, you love what you do, you feel like you never work a day in your life kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
That's how I've always felt about design. Yeah.
And when is mama going to have time for these hobbies?
Well,
So, yes.
exactly.
Well, and Brooklyn and I got to talk about country living because she has recently moved out to the country. And although I grew up out in the country, recently returned to the country. And although there's a few more field mice than I would care to deal with, like that's what the cats are for. And it's just so peaceful. So we've gotten to talk about that and bond over that experience. But I want you to share with the listeners a little bit about your professional career and journey with this career up to this point so far.
Yes, I love this too, and I love how my journey has kind of changed over the years. I feel like I've truly touched in so many different pieces of my industry, and so it's really, really cool to look back and see.
Mhm.
So I'm a 90s kid, if you want to do the math on that and see how old I am. I grew up with Windows Paint, like my parents'
Yes.
Dell computer, and I was obsessed with this thing. Like I would jump on every day after school and I would play with paint because you could create art digitally. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And that was when I was younger. So then when I went to high school, I had my first graphic design class in high school. And that made me realize, whoa, like number one, this is a thing. You can do this for a living. And I got an A in the class. I loved that class. And so I actually went to college pursuing a career in graphic design. And I went to EKU in Kentucky, and they have a great program, and they actually kind of force you. They try to get you to take a wide range of art classes in addition to the graphic
Sure.
design. So I was able to really touch on like all the things I loved as being an artist, but really honing in on graphic design and how I could really utilize all that together. Looking back, I think I would have double majored because I love marketing and communication. And I realize now, working in the field, that it's such a big part of it and it's something I feel passionate about. But, I went to college, and I did internships in college and started to jump right into the workforce with freelance and stuff. So it's been about 8 years now. And one of the first things I was drawn to was agencies. I wanted to work for an agency. It was so glamorous. And like I said, I was very interested in marketing communication. And I said, man, I just really want to work for like a big agency. I actually applied to San Francisco. This is right out of college too.
Oh,
I applied
wow.
to San Francisco, places out there, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Where's the other ones? There was one in New York and Cincinnati. And I remember just being like, I just want to be like the biggest designer, whatever.
Mhm.
And none of those things panned out, which is fine because it's a blessing in disguise. Because
Yeah.
as I started to really get into the field, I decided, like, I don't know if I like working for an agency. Like, I didn't know if I really liked that really like plug and chug kind of thing that came with the agency life. And so I did that for a couple years, learned a lot about client interaction and deadlines and time management. And it was a great way for me to get introduced to the field. And then around that time, I was like, you know what? I need something kind of slower paced. Like I'm looking for something else. And so I went to in-house design. And in-house design is where you work for a company, you know, solely in-house. And I worked for a restaurant company, and I loved it. But again, it was too slow, and it wasn't quite right. It didn't feel like the right fit. And what I noticed over the years, it's been 8 years now. What I noticed is that I wasn't working on things that I felt passionately about. And although I was in a space where it was like, go, 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 you know, I felt like I was being pushed as like a robot to create art. And like that wasn't passionate for me.
Yeah.
And then I go to in-house design, and I was just like, well, this is too slow for me. And I also like, I do love what I work on, but I would find myself sitting at my desk being like, I have all these ideas and passions and things that I want to do, but felt like I just have to keep working this 9 to 5 job to make, you know, an income. I didn't think it was a possibility. Fast forward to, of course, the pandemic, and it kind of put me in a corner where I realized there is no safe or secure job, truly. Things can happen, and you know, I was furloughed from my job. Now, it was kind of a weird situation, COVID, right? But it made you realize, like, if you're going to do something that you believe in and you feel passionate about it, do it, and do it now. And I kind of was like, all right, like, I feel like I'm being called home. And so I spent time with my family. I spent time developing who I wanted to be, what I wanted to be as a graphic designer. And I started to do freelance work part-time. And that was where I kind of really discovered what I am passionate about. And I don't think that I could have found that or experienced that if I didn't have the other 2 steps first. If I would have jumped right into freelance, I think in my professional journey, I would have, I don't want to say failed, but I probably would have fumbled a lot more. I think it's those connections I made early on and the things that I learned that helped kind of develop who I am today with freelance.
And I think so much, and because even my story is similar in the sense that I would have never taken the jump on my own if I hadn't been pushed a little. And God knows those things. He knows when we need those pushes, that we're not a daredevil and we are that type A. So we have to have everything planned out. And so I would have never done that on my own. And so the beauty of these stories is that we did have to go through those roles and that career journey to get the experience that we have now. But then once we've gotten to that point, we just get the little push out of the nest, and we're on our own. So I'm glad you shared that. And I really feel like we connect on that as well, because it is a journey, and it can be lonely. And unless you have people that are cheering you on from the sidelines, you can often get stuck in that mind game of like, what am I doing? And why am I here? And should I be doing something else? So that kind of leads us into the conversation about the VIP Accelerator. So why did you join the VIP Accelerator?
Okay, so like we just talked about, I really just started to shift my focus on how I viewed work, what I wanted to do in life, how I wanted to approach my business and my future. And I knew deep down, I was like, you know, I'm a service provider. I want to help people. I want to be able to use my talents to, you know, I say in my stuff, it's like to glorify God ultimately is my biggest goal, and to use my talents and steward them wisely to help others and to point back to Him. And that was something that really came to light in the pandemic for me. Was it was like, okay, I feel passionately about providing good things for the community in the world, and that's what I want to focus on the most. How can I make that a career? How can I do that? And so I started to build my business. Well, when I heard about the VIP Accelerator, you know, you and I were actually connected through a colleague and friend of mine in the field. And you know, I was struggling with my podcast, I had launched this thing, and I said, I want to do this business. I want to help people. I want to motivate people, but I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. And she said, I got this great friend of mine. She's got a podcast. She's great. You should connect with her. And I said, oh, okay, okay. And so I did, and we had a video call and we talked. And I remember leaving that and telling my husband and being like, I have to pour into this. Like I really want to pour into this. I believe in this. And, this person, I looked at, Fame and Fortune, the website and all this stuff. And I said, this is really good. And I've always been taught that if you don't know how to do something, you can learn, you teach yourself. But if you're really struggling with something, get an expert, get someone who knows how to help you grow your podcast, for example. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, I need to connect more. Well, the more that we connected, that's when VIP Accelerator kind of popped up. And it was all of these bullet points of all of these things that I was like, yes, 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 this is what I want to start growing my business, because it was at this point, it was a little baby business and I didn't really know what I was doing with it. And, I was really nervous to make that jump, but ultimately it came down to, do you want to pour into this? Do you want to nurture and grow this? And do you want someone to help you do this? And I think, at the end of the day, it was just like, I really want this for my company.
Yeah. And at the time we're recording this, we are just over halfway through. So we still have several months to go. But what has been your favorite part of the program thus far?
The group of women, these entrepreneurial, strong women who are all coming together in one spot. It's so cool. Like, I haven't nurtured or grown my community friend groups in a while. Like, truthfully, like, we have like 2 or 3 friends we talk to all the time, maybe, my mom, like people like that. I haven't been to, thanks to COVID, any like events or gotten to meet anyone new. And this group of women was like, okay, we all have the same goals and drive for the most part, where it's just like, we care about our business, we're here to learn and to learn together. And like the community of women, like that network has been phenomenal, because I feel like I know these women and I've never met them in real life. Right. And just being able to connect with them weekly, right, through a chat, I look forward to that. But then individually, I've since reached out to and connected with like women in the group that, we're trying to work on stuff together, or we're building each other up or inspiring each other and pushing each other and rooting for each other. So that community is like, I have loved that so much, and it has meant so much to me. I think the second one is probably honesty and transparency from you. That was something like, as a fellow like service provider and someone who owns their own business, having another person not like keep their secrets to themselves or the best things to themselves, but they're like, these are all the things that have helped me. These are the things that work. And having that open like transparency of like, this is how I run things on the back end, to kind of be like, she's sharing with me these secrets like of how to do this. And it makes you feel very
the behind the scenes, like look into what a business takes, and you kind of feel like you're saying like, okay, what pieces do I need to implement now, or what can I hold on to for 6 months down the road?
Yes, no, it's definitely very like like looking through like, here, like when you see an example of something, you need a visual example of like, this is how it works, here's an example of how it works, and you're able to like show that. And that's been really, really cool. And then just like the honesty too, of just like, this works, this doesn't work. And I think just you as a person, like, it's just been awesome to connect with you and be open and share your advice in the industry. And with me, it has been super great. And then obviously like the content, right? The books, the resources, the speakers, everything that we've done. I mean, it's been an awesome, awesome experience.
I'm so glad to hear that, like, you brought up community first, because I think the uplifting nature of the ladies in the group really does make it such a bright spot in my week, and it sounds like for everyone else as well. And I think that's just so refreshing to hear, because I can plan out content all day long. I can hire speakers. I can show you all back ends of websites and programs, but I can't create the uplifting nature of the community. I can inspire it, and I can model it myself and hope that that turns out. But to me, that truly is just a testament to you all, because that is really just the nature of who you are. And we all just turn into cheerleaders for everyone's business. And that is really cool to see. And these are relationships that you will have for the rest of your life. And truly, when you think about what stands and what is a good investment in your business, in a career, I think about relationships that I built 10 years ago and how I'm still calling on those people. And this is the same way. This is the way you can do it across the country, with women that are maybe not in conflicting industries, but in complementary industries where you can still learn and grow from each other. But it really just kind of puts fuel on the fire for all of us to just be encouraging of one another. So I'm so glad to hear you say that.
Yes. And well, I want to add one more thing because
Yeah.
like you said there, like I am such a habitual person. I love habits. I love habit building. And that's one of the things I talk about a lot on the podcast is building habits. But the one thing that really kept me coming back to this, right, because I was a little nervous to commit, was this community. It was like, it got me excited. And I feel like, yeah, you can create content all day, which is good and helpful. But it's like, do I have that drive to come back every day? And I felt like the community did that. Like it really just, I want to see these women. I want to see what they're up to. I want to like connect with them every week. And
it's fun. I think, well, when you said that, it reminded me of like when we're reading things in the book and then we are addressing it on the next week's call and we're reflecting on it. And then when you hear the other ladies talk about like, I read this in the book and then I went and changed it, and then I ended up booking a contract that was 3 times the amount that I normally would have charged because I implemented something we learned in the book. Like that's when I get fired up myself.
Oh yes.
Like, I can only imagine like everybody else is like, oh, I have to do that too. Like that's when you're like, okay, it's not just like a pie in the sky idea that a book talked about. Like somebody in our group actually went and did it and it worked. So yeah, that's really cool. And when you think about your business and how it's been impacted by your role in this group, where do you feel like you have found the most clarity or you've grown the most in your business?
Okay, you know this because we have had many a one-on-one calls about this. When I first approached the VIP Accelerator and my company and my business and everything that I had planned out, it is quite different now exiting all of this program, and not like a lot, but what I mean by that is I thought that I had this idea for my company and I presented it, and this is what I was trying to grow. It wasn't working. And the more we did our connections and read books and had speakers and went through things, and I started to realize through this course that I was looking at the right thing. I wasn't really hitting it. I didn't quite understand. And I think like we met a couple times and you were like, you are the service provider. You are the face behind what you're doing. Why are you hiding behind this brand? And for me, it took a lot of like soul searching to be like, wait, why am I doing this? And really noticing that I was trying to mimic other companies that I saw in things I was interested in. I said, I want to be that. I want to do that. I want to do that. Instead of really honing in on who am I? What are my talents? What can I bring? And then really developing a brand from that. So it really transformed my brand. And I'm like forever grateful for that. But I really felt like you gave me not only the confidence to be the brand essentially, right? To show my face and to start interacting with people, but also the clarity of like what I was doing. And I think that's what like all of these books and resources and speakers, all of those things helped me to see, I have something valuable. I have something to offer people, and it's not exactly what I thought.
Right.
In terms of, we talked about this. I was trying to divide two things. My freelance capabilities and basically creating artwork for people, right? And you were like, no, 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 these things go together. They can be married together. And I think that was like a huge like revelation for me to be like, whoa, like these are all intertwined and connected, and I am the face of that. And being able to show up in confidence and clarity has really helped me. And then also like batch prep, you know, batch prep work, there's just so many things. I feel like this is like do the dang thing 101. Like this
Yeah.
whole thing,
Yeah.
there's so many women coming at it from so many different perspectives in areas of their business, and I'm kind of like I said, like the baby business. I'm just starting out. But you helped kind of form like, okay, this is what this actually looks like, and I wouldn't have seen that myself without someone with experience that knows that. And that goes into batch prepping too. It's like I was spending so much time thinking, you know, I'm not being authentic if I don't come up with it today, if I don't come up with it right now. And you're like, no, like we batch prep, we sit down, we be intentional and purposeful and drive people to, you know, what we want to provide them. And you can't do that if you're not like sitting down and really making a plan. And it was when I started doing that stuff that I saw growth in my podcast and in my social media, in people commenting and responding and participating, because they were like, you know, this actually makes sense. You know, I'm sure it
Yeah.
did, because before it was like, oh, I'm posting this thing and here's an inspirational quote and I think that's good, you know, I don't know. But there was no goal, there was no call to action, there were no anything like that to help drive anything. And so you really brought forth a lot of clarity and a lot of confidence for me, and it's been a lifesaver.
You fill me with so much pride having you say that, like, because it is like, it's so refreshing to hear that, because I think so often we are hesitant to be that personal brand.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're in a corporate environment, you don't really have a personal brand per se. Maybe you do internally, but there's not really this mentality of, okay, with my marketing, I'm showing who I am, but I also show what I do.
Yes.
And there is a shift that has to happen with that, and it can feel scary if you know, haven't seen it done. But I think the beauty of the ladies in this group is we do have some that are very early on in their business, like yourself, but we have some that have been running businesses for 10, 15 years. And you are learning and seeing examples from them, but they are also kind of getting this like refresher course on everything that you maybe be sharing in the group. And so it's like such a beautiful thing where you work together to really achieve the goals. And but I'm just so proud to hear you say that, because you truly have made a transformation in just the matter of months that we've worked together, of saying like, this is what I think I want to do, to now saying like, this is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And there is such a confidence that comes with that.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So we talked about how books are a big piece of the VIP Accelerator. You receive a book every month, you read through it in a month, and then we go over that section of reading on each week's call. And of course, at the end of the program, you've read many business books that I know for me, it's given me this like accountability, because I buy all these business books and then they sit on my desk and I don't read them. So it definitely holds our feet to the fire for that. But out of the books we've read so far, which one's been your favorite and why?
Yes, I have to totally second that. It has forced me to read books, not just like books, but personal development growth books for my business. And I am so thankful for that. I actually loved the first book like the most. And I think it's because of what we talked about. I had such a pivotal moment in my branding and business journey where it was. So this is Obsessed by Emily Hayward video. You can see it here. But you know, she talks about in the book that, you know, what are you doing? Who are you serving? What is the purpose behind what you're doing? Because here are examples of brands that are really like pouring into being intentional with their purpose and what they're creating and why. And it goes to a deeper level than that. In this book, I felt like, especially to start, like was an awesome book, because it was a lot of clarification for me. And then what we talked about is like, okay, what do I want to do? Who are the people that I'm serving? How can I serve them well? And that was probably one of my favorite books. Now, I know that we've read a lot of others. I believe the second book we read, gosh, there was one that was very analytical,
Influence.
very,
Influence. Yeah, I'm
yes.
looking at it over on my bookshelf.
That is a
Bookshelf.
good one. Now, that is a good one from a person who, like, I love some good psychology. I did a speech on color theory in college. Like, I love the behind the scenes, how
Yes.
it works kind of thing. And that was, like, definitely a good follow-up book of, okay, let's get you inspired with Obsessed, right? Let's get you interested in what are you doing? Who are you serving? And then following it with that book of just kind of like, this is how it works in your head, in their heads, what, and I've loved all the books, but yeah, I'd say Obsessed is probably my favorite.
Yeah, it's really cool to see how these brands that are just so trending lately, that it gives you the kind of the whole backstory of like, this is the need they saw in their industry. This was the solution they had to that problem. And then here's how we made it catch and take, just go wildfire. And I think what it comes down in Obsessed was really this idea of showing this personal brand and telling these stories of persons and people that are struggling with this X, Y, and Z problem, and this product provided a solution. I thought it was so interesting because the majority of the ladies in the group, we are service providers, and this book was completely focused on products, but yet we were able to say like, I totally see how I could use this. And I think that was so cool for me to see too, because while I try to be very intentional about the books we pick, I think months ahead, I was a little worried because I thought, well, this is product based. And while we aren't product based,
right.
But that just to me reiterated like why you should be like looking outside of your industry for this inspiration, because I feel like you're going to be able to gain even more knowledge by doing that. And so, yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned Obsessed. And I do think it was a great book for us to start off the program with. But when you think back to your time in the VIP Accelerator, what do you think are the benefits that you can kind of just like nail down that you can say, I gained this from being a part of this group?
This is another hard question because I feel like I could talk all day about this honestly, because I've never done anything like this before. I've never put the time and commitment into like a group like this before, because I was always like, do I have the time? Is it worth it? I don't know, kind of thing. I could speak for days about this stuff. It's been awesome. But one of the things that really been nailed down for me has been marketing myself as a service provider, coming at it as, I am a freelance graphic designer. I specialize in branding. I specialize in podcast design. I do full service campaigns. Having that confidence to be like, this is what I do. This is the business that I want to grow, has been incredibly impactful. And because of that, I've been able to apply it to the things that I was struggling with in the first place when I first came to the VIP Accelerator. And I said, I want to grow my podcast, and I don't know how or whatever. And now it's like I have the confidence and clarity to apply that to my podcast. It's been able to give me through batching and really sitting down and creating a plan through the resources that you provided to then apply those to my podcast, and to really structure and framework that whole thing around serving people through my services, and also just my journey and how I've been doing things. And because of that, I've seen growth in my podcast, and also an uptick in people being like, wait, what is this? This sounds really fun. Like, this is your life, but this is your life living as a freelance designer, as a mom, as someone who does enjoy running and cooking and doing their finances, but also, really nailing down my purpose in what I'm doing. And I think the VIP Accelerator really helped with that, and that helped my podcast. And then also my social media presence and my email marketing. So yes. Social media presence, like at first I didn't really know how to show how much is sharing too much? What do I want to share? How do I want to show up online? How do I market myself? Because that can feel kind of weird. And you've had awesome pillars and approaches and ways to, this is how you can share this is how we can do this to grow your business and introduce yourself to the community as this is what I do. And so that's been really great. And then obviously, email marketing, I did not quite understand the benefit of it. I knew that it was important, but that it can transfer into dollars, that it can transfer into connections with people, community, and the thing that I was really wanting to do, which was serve people through encouragement, motivation, and my services. And it was like, well, how do you do that? How do you connect with more people one-on-one? Email marketing, email marketing, and being able to really connect. So that has really been, I could go on seriously with how many things.
I think it kind of what we've summed up in these questions is that really there's a strategy there that maybe it was thought to have been there before, but it really opened your eyes to what works, what doesn't, like what can you leave behind, what is worth spending your time on every single day or every single week, and how that moves the needle, and then the things to toss, because I definitely feel like that's the experience and expertise that I'm able to bring to the table, because I spent the time trying these things and going, yeah, is this really working? No. Okay, well, I'm going to stop doing it. And then now I can tell others like, yeah, this doesn't really work. So I do think you really kind of summarize it by saying there is a strategy now that otherwise wasn't there before, and allowing you to come through and show that person and that personality that you have freedom now to show. It's not just like, oh, I have to keep business and personal life separate. Like, no, it's all part of it, and it's all together. So Brooklyn, if someone is listening to this episode or watching and they are considering the next round of VIP Accelerator, what would you say to them?
It's worth it. It's worth it. And, I was scared to commit to doing this weekly, to doing it for multiple months. But it's been in those, it's been in those multiple months that now I'm sad that it's coming to an end, because it almost takes this long to kind of grow this community and to learn these things and start applying these things and testing these things and talking with you and talking with the other women. It's worth it. Like, the time put into it, the energy, and all of that stuff is worth it at the end of the day. Like I said, like we've talked about, it grew so much, my confidence and clarity on what I was doing. And I would say, my husband would say, even if that happened, it was worth it. Even if I was able to now take the tools that I have and move forward, like, I wouldn't have had that. I just wouldn't have had it anywhere else. And so I'm thankful for it, and it's worth it.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. And it wouldn't be an appearance on the Selfish podcast without me being able to ask you, how do you like to be selfish? And I always like to give the preface by saying this is, of course, in a positive light of how you practice self-care. So Brooklyn, yes. How do you like to be selfish?
Yes. I think the biggest thing for me, because I am such a worker bee, is I love to get away. And I don't mean that as in vacationing, although vacationing is wonderful. What I mean by that is I like to have quiet time. I like to have solitude. My faith is very important to me, and getting alone and getting quiet is very important to me. And so that can kind of take form in many different ways. Usually in the warmer weather, it's running or walking. When it's colder, it's quiet time at night. But I really try to be intentional with taking a step away, whether that be from work, from being a busy mom, from doing things like that, and really getting alone with God and with my thoughts, and not even necessarily like working at all. And I know that can be challenging, but really truly disconnecting. And I found that running's a great way, because as you're physically running, you really can't be like, you're exhausted. You can't really be thinking or trying to do other things. Like you're just like, I'm just right here in this moment. So yeah, just getting away.
Yeah. What's next for you?
Oh goodness. So many things. Like it's one of those things where it's like, now I have all the information, like it's time to apply it all. I'm so excited. So I am, because of everything, because of the growth that I've seen, and just my confidence and clarity with everything, my capacity has expanded, and I'm taking on more client work and open to client work and finding client work and doing stuff that helps people and provides like a service for people and my art for people and things that I really feel passionate about. It is no longer, I feel like this I have to work to make an income or whatever. It's like, and thanks to Obsess, thanks to so many things throughout this course, it's like, okay, I'm showing up to provide something for people that I feel like they need, and I want to help them, and I want to make it pretty, and I'm here. And so the next steps for me are definitely expanding on that, nurturing that, building connections with clients and nurturing those clients. I'm very excited for connection there. And then also with my podcast, it's growing, and I'm excited to have more guest stars and to talk more about this journey, because it's growing and changing all the time. But the one thing I love about my podcast and my brand and everything is it's just like, here's me doing the thing every day, and this is what it looks like, and here's what I've learned, and here's what works and doesn't work. And so yeah, I'm just excited to continue to create art, work with clients, make some helpful resources. Yeah.
And as a client of Brooklyn's, I can attest to the fantastic work that she does. And I truly give her a vision. I've obviously worked with many designers in the past, and I feel very confident in my direction. She always takes it to the next level though. Like I feel very good, like, okay, this is what I want. This is how I want it executed. And she then takes it a couple of steps further. And that to me is the sign of a true professional. So if someone's listening and they want to work with you, how can they contact you?
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Goodness. I will say I do love that, as well as like someone will give me a task, right? And I look at it as a problem, or a solution to a problem. How can I solve this problem? I always love that. But I do love to make it, because I love the interaction of someone who's like, you made my brand and it's everything to me, and this means so much to me, and like sprinkling that on top of like, here's some extra stuff, here's what I think, here's what can help, in providing my expertise and talents and who I am as a person to their brand to help them, elevate it. And yeah, I love that, and seeing their reaction and response, like it's what I live for. I love that stuff. But yes, if you want to connect with me, totally can. BrooklynBeckerson.com. That's where everything is hubbed. That's where everything is at. So you've got connection services with me there, my portfolio, who I've worked with to connect with me, and as well as the podcast is there, and some digital resources are there, and everything's just kind of housed there. My stories there, my testimony. And I just really, as the VIP Accelerator, it took went through the course and all that stuff, I am this is me, and I provide services, and I'm also a person and a human who has feelings and emotions and goes through journeys and walks of life too. And so everything is housed there. So you can work with me, you can hang out with me, you can learn about who I am, anything like that, brooklynbeckerson.com.
I'm so proud of you, Brooklyn. And I just want to end the conversation by saying that, because of course, whenever students start this program with me, I have an idea of where I think they should get to, and I see a vision or a need in an industry and say, like, you could fill this need. And I'm so proud of you, because you have truly been such a good student in that manner, because if I give you feedback, you genuinely, you ask questions about it, you truly want to know more, you want to dive in, and then you listen and you actually take action on that. And I think that to me is a sign of why you've had such a good experience out of it, why you've gotten so much, because you truly went into it with an open heart and said, like, I want to pour into this, just as you said. And I think that is why you've gotten such a good return. So
Totally.
thank you for that, because that makes my job fun. It makes this experience so worthwhile. But I do want to just say I'm proud of you and thank you for sharing your story and your message with us today.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yes, I am very honored and thankful to have participated in this. I mean, truly. And like you said, I mean, it has changed how I viewed a lot of things, and so I'm forever grateful for that. So thank you, Allie.